On the morning of December 7, 1941, a Japanese dive bomber appeared high above the battleships moored at Pearl Harbor. Thousands of sailors looked skyward as aircraft screamed overhead, but few could have imagined that one bomb, dropped by a young Japanese naval aviator, would produce one of the deadliest explosions ever witnessed in the Pacific War. His name was Yoshikazu Nagahama. Although history has remembered admirals like Isoroku Yamamoto and Mitsuo Fuchida, Nagahama remains almost unknown outside military historians. Yet many believe it was his bomb that struck the USS Arizona, igniting the ship's forward ammunition magazine and killing 1,177 American sailors in an instant. It was one of the single most devastating blows of the Second World War. Nagahama was a dive bomber pilot aboard the aircraft carrier Akagi, the flagship of Japan's First Air Fleet. Like every pilot selected for the Pearl Harbor mission, he belonged to one of the finest naval air forces in the world. Japan had spent years creating an elite corps of aviators. Their training was relentless. Many recruits never earned their wings. Those who did became experts in navigation, bombing, aerial combat, and carrier operations. By late 1941, these men were veterans of combat in China and had spent months secretly rehearsing the attack on Pearl Harbor. Before dawn on the 7th of December, Nagahama climbed into the cockpit of his Aichi D-3A dive bomber, known to the Allies by the nickname Val. As Akagi turned into the wind north of Hawaii, engines roared to life across the carrier's flight deck. One by one, aircraft launched into the darkness. The strike force crossed the ocean in radio silence. As sunrise broke over Oahu, Pearl Harbor came into view. The Americans were completely surprised. Battleships sat peacefully along Battleship Row. Sailors were eating breakfast, raising flags, and preparing for another ordinary Sunday. Within minutes, that peaceful morning became chaos. Japanese aircraft attacked from every direction. Torpedo bombers swept low over the water. Fighters strafed airfields. Dive bombers climbed high before rolling into near-vertical dives toward their targets. Nagahama selected the USS Arizona. As his aircraft pointed almost straight down, he aligned his sights on the massive battleship below. At precisely the right moment, he released his armor-piercing bomb and pulled violently out of the dive, enduring crushing G-forces as anti-aircraft shells burst around him. Seconds later, the bomb smashed through Arizona's deck before detonating deep inside the ship. Then came the explosion. The forward ammunition magazines erupted with unimaginable force. A giant orange fireball shot hundreds of meters into the air. The battleship was torn apart. More than 1,000 sailors died almost instantly. Even today, the wreck of Arizona remains where she sank, still entombing over 900 crewmen beneath the waters of Pearl Harbor. Whether Nagahama fully understood the destruction he had caused is impossible to know. His mission, like every Japanese pilot's that morning, was simply to destroy assigned targets and return safely to the carrier. He did exactly that. After landing aboard Akagi, he became one of the celebrated heroes of Japan's greatest naval victory. But his war was only beginning. Just 10 weeks later, Nagahama once again climbed into his dive bomber. This time, the target was Australia. On February 19, 1942, the same four carriers that had attacked Pearl Harbor approached the northern coast of Australia: Akagi, Kaga, Hiryu, Soryu. Again, nearly 190 aircraft launched before dawn. Again, Nagahama was among them. Their objective was Darwin. The city had become an important Allied base supporting operations in the Dutch East Indies. Japanese planners wanted to destroy its port, fuel supplies, airfields, and shipping before launching further offensives across Southeast Asia. For many Australians, the attack came completely without warning. Shortly before 10 a.m., Japanese aircraft appeared over the harbor. Bombs rained onto ships anchored below. Dive bombers struck fuel tanks, warehouses, and military installations. American destroyer USS Peary was sunk. 8 ships went to the bottom. Airfields were devastated. More than 230 people were killed. For Australia, it remains the largest and deadliest foreign attack ever carried out on its soil. Somewhere among the attacking aircraft was the same pilot whose bomb had helped destroy the USS Arizona only weeks earlier. Once again, Nagahama survived. To Japanese commanders, everything appeared to be going according to plan. The Imperial Navy seemed unstoppable. Pearl Harbor had been a triumph. Singapore had fallen. The Philippines were collapsing. The Dutch East Indies were being conquered. Victory appeared inevitable. But beneath the surface, the balance of the war was beginning to shift. Only 4 months after attacking Darwin, Nagahama experienced the first great disaster. In June 1942, during the Battle of Midway, Akagi came under attack from American dive bombers. Within minutes, bombs struck the carrier, igniting aircraft fuel and armed bombs waiting on the hangar deck. The flagship became an inferno. Nagahama survived the destruction of Akagi, escaping before the carrier was scuttled. Many of his fellow aircrew did not. Although Japan managed to rescue numerous surviving pilots, the loss of 4 fleet carriers at Midway changed the course of the Pacific War forever. Japan could replace ships. Replacing experienced aviators like Nagahama was far more difficult. Despite the loss of his carrier, Nagahama continued flying. By August 1942, fierce fighting had erupted around Guadalcanal in the Solomon Islands. Both Japan and the United States recognized that whoever controlled the island would dominate the surrounding sea lanes. Carrier battles became almost continuous. On August 24, 1942, Japanese aircraft launched against American naval forces during what became known as the Battle of the Eastern Solomons. Nagahama joined the attack. This time, however, the Americans were ready. Radar provided early warning. Fighter patrols intercepted incoming formations long before they reached the fleet. Anti-aircraft fire had become more accurate and far more intense than it had been at Pearl Harbor. Many of Japan's veteran aircrews never returned. Among those killed was Yoshikazu Nagahama. He had survived Pearl Harbor. He had survived Darwin. He had escaped the destruction of Akagi at Midway. But less than 9 months after helping launch the war against the United States, he was dead. His story mirrors that of Japan's elite naval aviation. The pilots who stunned the world at Pearl Harbor were among the most skilled ever to fly from aircraft carriers. Yet within a single year, many had been killed in battles stretching from the Coral Sea to Guadalcanal. Their victories had been spectacular. Their losses proved impossible to replace. Today, millions of visitors stand quietly above the white memorial spanning the wreck of the USS Arizona. Oil still rises slowly from the sunken battleship, sometimes called the Tears of the Arizona. Few visitors know the name Yoshikazu Nagahama. Fewer still realize that after dropping one of the most consequential bombs of the Second World War, he returned to fight over Australia before disappearing into the skies above the Solomon Islands. His life captures both the astonishing success and the rapid downfall of Japan's naval air arm. In December 1941, men like Nagahama seemed invincible. By the end of 1942, most were gone, and the tide of the Pacific War had turned forever.